So if you talk to your friends the exact same way you talk to yourself in your own mind, after making a small mistake, do you think they would still be your friend?
Oh, absolutely not. They would have walked away years ago.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we use such harsh, painful words with ourselves, when really we should be acting as our own kind coach.
Yeah, we totally should. But it is so easy to fall into that trap of just being incredibly mean to yourself.
It really is.
And that is the exact premise of our deep dive today. We are unpacking this fascinating transcript from an educational series called Skillify English.
Which is such a great series.
It is. They use this story-based English learning approach. And the mission for us today is to explore the danger of negative self-talk.
Yeah, because it just quietly drains all your mental energy.
Exactly. So we want to talk about how to basically flip the script, to turn all that self-criticism into mindful awareness.
Which is a huge topic
Right.
and so relatable for anyone, trying something new.
Oh, for sure. Like learning a language or starting a new job.
Yeah.
But before we can stop that inner critic, I feel like we have to understand why our brains even create this mean voice in the first place.
Right. Like, where does it come from?
Yeah. Because kids aren't born doing this, right?
No, they definitely are. And the source actually points to a psychological root for this. It is basically a misguided attempt at self-protection.
Wait, protection? By being mean to yourself?
Yeah, exactly. It sounds backwards, but it comes from when we were children. Our brains learned that making mistakes in front of other people leads to pain or, embarrassment.
Oh, I see. So the brain is like, let me scold you before anyone else can.
Yes. It is hoping to soften the blow. If you judge yourself first, the external judgment won't hurt as much.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah.
But there's this analogy in the source that I just enthusiastically circled. They compare this defense mechanism to putting on a heavy spiked shield of armor.
A spiked shield.
No.
That is such a vivid image.
It really is. Because sure, it is designed to protect you from other people. But the shield is so heavy that it just crushes your chest.
Right. It weighs you down completely.
So my question is, doesn't this supposed protection actually just freeze us in our tracks?
It absolutely does. And that is exactly what the source calls self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. That is a great word for our listeners to note.
Yes. Self-sabotage is the habit of actively stopping or damaging your own progress, usually out of fear or just this deep need for comfort.
Right, because staying quiet feels safe.
Exactly. By staying quiet to avoid mistakes, we think we are safe. But our comfort zone just turns into a cage.
A cage. Wow. So if this shield of self-sabotage is actually trapping us, we have to replace it, right?
We do. We need a totally new internal persona. We have to transition from being a critic to being a coach.
I love this part. The source uses a sports analogy here that makes the difference so incredibly clear.
Yeah, the sports analogy is perfect for this.
So imagine a player on a field, and they just drop the ball. A critic is the person standing on the sidelines just screaming at them.
Offering zero actual help.
None. Just offering harsh judgment. And by harsh, I mean, totally unkind or severe, just yelling really mean things.
And that harshness gives the player absolutely no useful information. It just makes them feel terrible.
Right. But then the source contrasts this with a coach. How does a coach handle that exact same drop ball?
Well, a coach calmly looks at the drop ball. They analyze the player's stance, and they just suggest small, little adjustments.
They nag or tweaks.
Exactly. Because to a coach, a mistake does not define your character. A mistake is just pure data.
Pure data. That was such a huge aha moment for me when I read it. Mistake is just a temporary action, not a permanent label.
It changes everything when you see it that way.
It really does. There's a powerful quote from the source about this. They said, we need to stop treating our mistakes like a crime scene.
Yes, I remember that part.
And we need to start treating them like a science lab, where we are just experimenting with new formulas.
Because at crime scene, you are looking for someone to punish.
Right. But in a science lab, a failed experiment is just, it's just information.
It is just data telling you to try a different formula next time. No guilt required.
I absolutely love that. But okay, let's get practical for a second.
Sure.
Understanding this in theory is great, but how do we actually stop our brain when it starts to panic in the middle of a real stressful situation?
Like trying to speak a second language in a big meeting.
Yes. When your heart is pounding and you just freeze up, how do we apply this?
Well, the source breaks down this really simple 3-second mental routine. You can use it right in the heat of the moment.
3 seconds.
Okay.
I am listening. What is step one?
Step one is to just notice and name the critic.
Notice and name it.
Yeah, you just quietly say to yourself, my inner critic is shouting right now. And simply acknowledging it like that strips away its power.
Because you are separating yourself from the panic?
Exactly. You are observing the voice, not becoming it.
Okay, so that is step one. What is step two?
Step two is to validate the feeling.
Validate the feeling, like telling yourself it is okay to be nervous.
Precisely. You remind yourself that it is completely normal to feel nervous. Trying something new is brave.
So you aren't fighting the fear, you're just sort of accepting it.
Right. And that leads to step three. You ask the inner coach for a direction.
Ask the coach, not the critic.
Yes. You ask yourself, what is one small, simple thing I can do right now to keep the flow going?
Oh, I see. Like maybe just remembering to smile. Or
Yeah.
using a soft starter phrase to buy some time.
Exactly. Just one tiny action.
Doing that third step would make a person feel completely grounded.
Yes. Very grounded.
And for our listeners, when we say grounded, we mean pulling yourself out of that emotional panic, bringing yourself back to a calm, stable, and sensible present moment.
That is a perfect definition. It anchors you right back to reality.
So we have this great 3-second reset. But there is one final step to really mastering our internal monologue,
Yes, there is. We have to change the actual vocabulary we use on ourselves every day.
which the source calls flipping the script.
Flipping the script, I love that phrasing. To do this, we have to reframe our mindset.
Reframe. Let's make sure we define that clearly, too.
Good idea. To reframe means changing the way you look at a situation so that it is much more constructive.
Right. Taking a negative thought and putting a new, helpful frame around it.
Exactly. We have to change these fixed negative labels into active, growing statements.
The source gives such a great example of this, the whole reps concept.
Oh, the reps concept is fantastic.
So instead of saying, my English is terrible, I'll never be fluent, which is just a total dead
the
end.
very harsh dead end.
Right. You catch that and you flip the script. You tell yourself, every mistake is just a rep that makes me stronger.
Like lifting weights at the gym, doing repetitions or reps.
Yes. It turns this exhausting uphill battle of learning into a fun, active workout.
You aren't failing, you are just building mental muscle.
Every mistake is just a rep. I really love that. But all of this takes a lot of kindness toward yourself.
It does. In fact, the source notes that this entire process is built on self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
Yes, it is the ultimate habit of being kind and forgiving to yourself when you experience difficulty. You can't be a coach without self-compassion.
That is so true. And it really brings us to the core takeaway from all this source material,
Which is
that your brain is listening to every single word you say to it.
every single word.
So you must choose to be a kind coach, not a harsh judge. Reframing your struggles as feedback turns your failures into actual progress.
So, for you listening right now, the next time you slip up or make a mistake, try this out.
Just take a slow breath.
Exactly. Take a breath, forgive your human moments, and just keep moving forward with pride.
Because you are trying,
Yeah.
and that is what matters. But, before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Well, we started by asking if your friends would stick around, if you spoke to them like you speak to yourself. And we agreed they wouldn't.
They definitely wouldn't.
But what if we flipped it? If we universally stopped acting as our own harsh critics right now and instead became our own internal coaches?
Wow. That would change everything.
Think about how much trapped mental energy and unseen human potential would suddenly be released into the world.
It would be incredible.
And if everyone was internally grounded, if they weren't fighting that inner battle all day, how would that change the way we treat each other externally?
I imagine we would be a lot kinder to each other.
I think so too. It is definitely something to think about.